Greetings, digital citizen. This is a synthesis of Alfredo Jalife-Rahme's live stream broadcasted on 2025 September 1st. Distilling intel from Tianjin, the dawn of a new multipolar world order. A pivotal summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO, in Tianjin, China, has marked a definitive shift in the global geopolitical landscape, signaling the formal construction of a new multipolar world order. The event, described by analysts as meta-historical, brought together the leaders of major global powers, most notably President Xi Jinping of China, President Vladimir Putin of Russia, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India, to lay the groundwork for a future defined by a dialogue of civilizations rather than conflict. At the heart of the summit was a major address by President Xi Jinping, who, following his previous proposals for a global development initiative, a global security initiative, and a global civilization initiative, formally introduced a new vision for global governance. In his speech, President Xi Jinping called for all nations to jointly promote the construction of a more just and reasonable global governance system, moving towards a community of common destiny for mankind. He emphasized the principle of sovereign equality, stating that all countries, regardless of their size, strength, or wealth, must participate equally in global governance, decision-making, and benefits, thereby advancing the democratization of international relations. This vision is anchored by two core concepts: global governance and a global South, which are now positioned as the cornerstones of the emerging world model. The summit was replete with powerful symbolic gestures, chief among them an image circulated by Russia Today showing Prime Minister Modi taking President Putin by the hand as they walked together to meet with President Xi Jinping. Analysts note that in the Indian subcontinent, such a gesture is a profound act of warmth and fraternity, typically reserved for brothers. Prime Minister Modi himself, via his official account on the social media platform X, shared images of the three leaders in a casual, friendly conversation, an interaction that took place in the corridors of the summit rather than a formal meeting. This was seen by observers as a deliberately planned display of unity among the three major leaders of the global South. While multimedia outlets in Russia and India expressed jubilant enthusiasm, Chinese media maintained a more sober tone, reflecting the host's solemnity. The prevailing analysis from the summit points to two fundamental takeaways. The first is the definitive burial of the Western financierist ghetto, a term used to describe the reductionist, mercantilist worldview dominated by figures such as Larry Fink of BlackRock, who was recently named co-president of the World Economic Forum in Davos. This model is now widely considered to be in a state of terminal decline. The second, and perhaps more profound takeaway, is the rise of a new civilizational paradigm. The concept of civilizational sovereignty, a term championed by thinkers like Alexander Dugin, resonated deeply throughout the summit. This marks a shift away from the clash of civilizations thesis proposed by Samuel Huntington and toward a dialogue of civilizations, a concept long advocated by nations like Iran. This new paradigm celebrates the plurality of ancient and great civilizations, such as those of China and India, and their right to chart their own course on the world stage. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, founded in 2001, has evolved into a formidable entity. It currently comprises 10 full members, including China, Russia, India, Pakistan, Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Belarus, and Uzbekistan. It also includes observers like Afghanistan and Mongolia and 14 dialogue partners. Collectively, the SCO represents 41% of the world's population and covers 36 million square kilometers of territory. While no Arab nations were present as full members, their significant representation within the BRICS, which includes Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, and a pending invitation to Saudi Arabia, is seen as their integration into the broader economic arm of this new Eurasian-led order. Analysts like Andrei Martyanov draw a parallel where the SCO functions as the military and security equivalent of NATO, while the BRICS serves as its economic counterpart, akin to the European Union. The discourse from the leaders at the summit was notably gradualist and reform-oriented, rather than revolutionary and confrontational. In a written interview with China's Xinhua news agency prior to the summit, President Putin described the strategic coordination between Russia and China as a stabilizing force. He stated that both nations support the reform of existing global institutions like the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, sharing a vision for a new financial system built on openness and true fairness. This careful language suggests a desire to reform the existing world order, not to completely dismantle it, reflecting the fact that both Russia and China were among the victors of the Second World War and co-architects of those very institutions. The goal is to enhance the multilateral nature of these bodies and prevent them from being used as instruments of unipolar dominance, as was often the case during the era of neoliberalism when loans were conditioned on policy mandates that led to lost decades of development in regions like Latin America. The summit also highlighted the deep internal divisions within the West. Kirill Dmitriev, an economic advisor to President Putin, has spoken of a fractured West. This fracture is most evident in the United States, where a fierce political battle rages between globalist forces, represented by figures like George Soros, and nationalist forces aligned with former President Donald Trump. According to Steve Bannon, a former strategist for Trump, the globalist elites are actively trying to destroy the potential for a US-Russia alliance based on shared traditional and Christian values. This anti-globalist sentiment is a core component of the Heritage Project 2025, a policy platform for a potential second Trump administration. President Putin's own speech at the summit, with its emphasis on the defense of traditional values, was a clear rebuke of the woke agenda promoted by the globalist establishment. This internal conflict within the US, particularly the ongoing Russiagate narrative, is seen as a key factor in its foreign policy calculations. The geopolitical chessboard is being decisively rearranged. The great loser in this new alignment appears to be Europe, which analysts suggest has lost 500 years of global dominance. The winners of the Battle of Waterloo, the financial and political elites of the Anglosphere, are now facing their own strategic Waterloo. The United States, however, is not seen as a lost cause. Analysts suggest that a silver bridge should be extended to the US, allowing it to find a place within the new multipolar framework. This is based on the recognition of its formidable nuclear arsenal and the potential for a different foreign policy direction under a non-globalist administration. The key distinction is made between the globalist faction, represented by the Biden administration, and the nationalist faction of Trump, who has consistently stated that the war in Ukraine would not have happened under his presidency. The economic implications of this new alignment are profound. The BRICS nations, when measured by purchasing power parity, already represent a dominant economic force. China holds the top position globally, with India third and Russia fourth, sandwiching the United States in second place. This economic reality underpins the shift in global power. While leaders at the summit avoided aggressive rhetoric regarding the US dollar, the move towards conducting trade in national currencies and the establishment of a new SCO development bank signal a clear, albeit gradual, process of de-dollarization. The ultimate goal is not merely to create an alternative currency, but to build an entire parallel financial ecosystem, including payment systems and internet infrastructure, to break the dependency on Western-controlled institutions. Final analysis. The events in Tianjin represent a fundamental rebalancing of the world. One analyst summarized the current temporal dynamics with the axiom: the United States fights against time, Russia composes with time, and China has seized the future of time. The consensus among observers is that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is acting to reform the world, not to violently transform it. It is a move towards a more balanced, inclusive, and equitable system of global governance, one that respects the sovereignty and civilizational integrity of all nations. While the West, particularly its globalist faction, has been dealt a significant setback, the door remains open for a pragmatic United States to engage with this new reality and help shape a more stable and peaceful multipolar future.